We are Rogue Media Sports.
I kind of hate when they're not like flat at the bottom. It's the Cam Show. Sorry, Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm getting OCD about it. I mean, it's fine. It's not going to tip over, but anyway, Cam Stewart, Zach Burke. Zach, I purposely didn't look at the score because I wanted to get the game report from you from your Senators against the Cats last night.
Well, it turned out like I didn't think it would. 3-1 win for the Sens to open up the home ice.
We did the dirty work. We really wore out the Panthers. Linus Ullmark gets his first win as a Sen.
Two goals is the first, or 2 goals in the first period, 1 in the third. I think Florida got their lone goal in the second period. I didn't watch much of the second period, but
Brady wins the Kachuk matchup.
Yep,
big time.
Not the better brother, but our brother. I don't like saying R as a team because
BU
I don't do anything with it. But
I like that he played
my
at BU.
teams. Yeah. Did they both go to BU?
No, Matthew didn't play in college. Eventually, I think he probably committed to BU, but he didn't end up playing. But Brady, yes, Brady's a good player. When is the cutoff for you for Classic Rock? We will talk Patriots in a second. But we were talking about this right before we went on the air.
To me, I still, and I know it's way off, but like mid 80s, early 80s, just
That's
because fair. 80s music is its own thing in a way.
I think so. And for me, it's not flattering, but yes.
Yeah.
Like once you, like I'm thinking like Bon Jovi.
Some Bon Jovi is
still
classic
there?
rock. I think so.
Like 84, I think is Slippery When Wet.
You give love you give love a bad name is like the tail end of classic rock.
What about, I think once we get to Guns N' Roses, we're in something else.
Yeah.
It's obviously not new age, it's not grunge, but
Paradise City
like
has
that hair band stuff, I think we're past it.
It falls more to that.
You could put some Twisted Sister in there.
Do you consider Twisted Sister classic rock?
I mean, no. Ultimately, you're right. No, I don't.
Okay.
I hear it on classic rock stations, but that is our whole argument here.
Yeah.
Is that now they're playing stuff from the 2000s. They're playing like the White Stripes as classic rock.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Like we had the local classic rock station here, or rock station in general, at one point in time was Clear Channel owned. And I think they only had like 300 songs in rotation, and they would throw like Twisted Sister as one of those 300, and like Radar Love by Golden. It was like the weirdest mix of classic rock ever. So I do throw that in there a little bit, but I don't consider it classic rock.
Those fall into those songs that like you're like, they're not bad, but how many times do I need to hear this in my life? You know?
Yeah.
Like we're not gonna take it.
I'm good actually if I don't hear that again.
Don't Stop Believing is a top one for me. I'm done.
I'm done with it. Yeah.
I'm so done with it. Pretty much anything by Bon Jovi. I don't know if this was a New England thing, but it was played on classic rock stations all the freaking time. Belichick, different end of the spectrum, which maybe that's a good segue here, because we are talking Bill Belichick to start off this show. Because if we keep going with this, Zach, I will talk all day long.
Oh, and I'm with you.
No, that's a good song, but I'm done with it. I'm teetering on the edge of it. I'm now getting songs from like my childhood that I had forgotten for so long. And I almost don't want to listen to them too much to as if to not ruin it. So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
We're gonna get sidetracked here.
I'll try to rein us back in. This is what I have to do with my
I was walking the other day, just doing a walk, getting some exercise.
Yeah.
I don't remember what song I started with, something from the early 2000s, and kind of hit shuffle and see where it would take me. And the song Breathe by Anna Nalick came up.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that song? It's from like 2005, 2006. And I had not heard that song since it was on the radio.
Yeah.
I still knew the lyrics pretty well because I have that weird brain. But I was like, I have not heard that song in so long. And I talked to Grace about it. She listens to it all the time. And I was just like, that's so bizarre. Like, I almost don't want to ruin some of these songs that I remember and haven't heard in a long, long time that can take me back to a time and place. I don't want to listen to it so much that I'm like, oh yeah, that's that song I loved as a kid. And also I listen to it a lot now.
I get that.
Is that a weird thing? It's probably a
No.
weird thing, but it's okay to be a weird thing.
I
Like I'm like, man,
understand
I
it.
like that Anna Nalick song, but
that part's
'cause
the weird
I
part.
feel like I've done that to some extent with like, um, Promiscuous, Nelly Furtado and Timbaland. Is Timbaland?
Yeah.
Yeah. I listened to that a bunch when I was a kid when it came out. Loved that song. Still do. Still love that song. But then I listened to it a bunch when I was in college. And so it's like, I kind of remember two different things here. And it fucks with me.
I got you.
It is weird. It is a weird
No,
thing.
I get that.
But
So, do you feel like the more you listen to it, the more you cheapen the experience you had of listening to it? Then,
and there's no rhyme or reason to that, but yes, that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
It just kind of cheapens it.
But then don't you run the risk of
but-
forgetting that you like those songs altogether because you don't listen to them at all?
Maybe. And
until somebody brings it up randomly.
and there's a song, yeah, because like, when am I going to run into that? Like,
when is
was I
anybody
ever
going to
gonna
bring up
listen to Breathe again? Yeah, that's a good point. There was another one that I discovered a few years ago, rediscovered, and it was "Listen to Your Heart" by DHT, Ed May's unplugged version, which I think is a fucking great song. Obviously a cover of Roxette, but a great song that I remember being like a moderate hit when I was a kid. And that this is falling into the outlier because I still listen to that song a ton now, but it's preserved. It's intact for me. So that could happen with "Breathe" by Anna Nalick or shit, man. I don't know.
So some songs don't fall into
But you ever? It all comes back to that kind of weird feeling when you remember a song very well. It makes me feel old when you remember a song very well and you hear it someplace. You're like, oh my god, I have not heard that song since it was new. And the first time I remember that feeling was a couple years ago. The song "Cool" by Gwen Stefani was playing in like a Target or something. No reason to be on like any radio station. Like it's not, I know it's old, but it's not that old. It's from like 2005, 2006. And I just remember being like, oh my God, this is Gwen Stefani. I remember this song.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it in at that point, probably 16 or 17 years, but I know this song. And since then, because I'm kind of at that age, I'm starting to get that more and more, but I'm trying to not cheapen the experience.
No, I get that. I had that experience the other day. A couple weeks ago, I randomly swung by Sonic to get something to drink.
Dude,
it took them
as
forever.
Who works next to that Sonic, they throw some throwbacks.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. Is the Sonic radio or whatever? I was jamming out to like 2 or 3 songs in a row, and I had that moment of like, do I need to reconsider what I listen to? Where the fact of like the Sonic radio station.
Were you the one next to the radio station?
No,
okay.
I was
Maybe
out at the one at I don't know if they share it. Like I've been there before and had the same experience. But yeah, I don't frequent Sonic too often. But when I do, their radio station is always usually pretty spot on.
I can't wait to find what the next song is going to be that I'm like, whoa. It happens a couple times a year, probably twice a year, where I'm like, oh my God, I have not heard that song since 2006.
So does "Breathe" count as one for this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've listened to it a few times since then.
I'll have that happen where I'll I guess I'll call it rediscover a song because it might even already be in like my favorites list, but it never comes up on shuffle for some reason. Or I'll have other songs on the album, but not like that one for some reason. And so Spotify sometimes does that smart shuffle, like pull stuff off, and it'll pop up and I'll be like, oh shit. Okay. Yeah, no, this one was pretty good, but I haven't had my "Breathe" in a while, I don't think. Let me look.
I'm also starting to do that for like rediscovering, like not ones that I haven't listened to so long, but like rediscovering with like my middle school songs, which would be Cover Your Ears, Zach, like 2009, 2010.
I was in college.
Yeah,
I was almost out of it. Damn.
And that one I'll be like, hell yeah, like I'll go back and listen to that. But it's that 05, 06, maybe some 07 that it's like I haven't even heard that since then. Anyway, Bill Belichick, free agent, still in the NFL, and the Jets need a head coach. And this has gotten some interesting discourse over the last few days on whether that is someone they will look for. In fact, I was banging down the door in the offseason that the Cowboys should have been looking at Bill Belichick. When you've got a team like Dallas has with still plenty of talent, or at least did last year, that are veteran guys, they just need someone to get them over the top. even though Mike McCarthy has a Super Bowl, I don't think that's the best guy, because I look at McCarthy's career and no one has gotten less with more than Mike McCarthy in my lifetime as a head coach. And then Mike Tomlin maybe falls into that too. But if you're looking for someone who can just get a team over the top, that is going to run a no-nonsense, tight ship, knows how to win Super Bowls, I would think that Jerry Jones could put his ego aside and hire Bill Belichick. It didn't happen. He's sitting there doing media with his handler, Matt Patricia, on NFL Network and whatever, CBS or whatever he's doing outside of that too. And now it comes up that the Jets, should the Jets be interested? There's no reports that the Jets are interested, but should the Jets be interested? And would Belichick even do that? They need a head coach. He needs a job. There's a lot of history there. Obviously, Belichick hates the Jets. The short-lived tenure of him as head coach, I resign as HC of NYJ, doesn't like Woody Johnson, was spiteful to the Jets for years. I think he did one trade with the Jets in 20 plus years as the Patriots head coach. He loved rubbing it in the Jets' face. He loved taunting the Jets whenever he could, and made it a personal mission to win Super Bowls and beat the crap out of the Jets. And so now the Jets need a head coach, and Bill Belichick's sitting there doing media. Could this actually happen? Well, Rich Eisen weighed in, and he weighed in with a take that I think a lot of people have around the NFL.
One thing I can say for sure, in my firm belief about all of this, and I look at all the Jet fans out there who are deep down thinking, maybe Belichick. You know that warm place that we mentioned about in relation to the Chiefs acquiring Devontae Adams from the Raiders? That warm place needed to freeze over. That's the same place that needs to freeze over for Belichick to take a job from the New York Jets. He will still be a broadcaster next year if that's his only option. That's my 2 cents. I should never go out and actually, nobody should ever go out and speak for Bill Belichick, but I think I'm safe in saying the last job on earth he would take is the head coach of the New York Jets.
I don't know that I agree with Rich Eisen here. I don't know that I agree. I've watched Belichick every game the last 20 years almost, and I understand absolutely the history there, how spiteful this guy can be. I've seen and read everything that's been put out there about Bill Belichick in his life, basically. But I think that spite that Belichick has and that pettiness, that revenge that lives within him could actually work for him coaching the Jets, because all these things we're talking about he didn't love the ownership. Obviously, he had all kinds of issues with the ownership. He had issues with the way that the team talked about him after he left, and he was hell-bent on making the Jets miserable for years and years and years because of what he perceived they did to him. Well, now, yes, he's looking for a job, and those things that you said about the Jets, you could argue he feels about the Patriots right now. This was a falling out, a weird falling out in the final few years of a Hall of Fame career with the Patriots and with Robert and Jonathan Kraft. So while he doesn't probably hate them the way he did with Woody Johnson, it's like this guy has shown you that he will be spiteful for 20 plus years and do anything to get back at you year after year after year. And now you have a falling out with the Patriots. What's to say, or who's to say, that Belichick just won't do the same thing to the Patriots that he just did to the Jets for 20 years? So there's two ways of looking at it. You could look at it the way Rich Eisen did. You could look at it the way that most of the NFL has looked at it and said, well, he hates the Jets. He would never work for the Jets because he hates the Jets. But the other way you could look at it is, why does he hate the Jets? There was a falling out with ownership. With the Patriots, there was a falling out with ownership. There was a story about RG3 when he left the team then known as the Redskins. And his next team was Cleveland. And so he goes to Cleveland and apparently is ready to, open the playbook that he had with the Redskins and let out the state secrets of his old team. And On surface level, without thinking about it, you might think that, oh, of course the Browns would love that. It shows a loyalty to the Browns. But what the Browns would actually be thinking is, uh-oh, that's not a good sign. Because then what about when he leaves here? Is he going to do the same thing to us? Is he going to do the same thing to us while he's here? That doesn't show good maturity. It's something I've had to deal with a lot going to new jobs. I go to new jobs a lot. You got to be careful about what you say about the old job, because while they might be, haha, nice, yeah, they might also be thinking, then what's he saying about us? Same thing with this. You might think that, oh, there's no way he's going to take the Jets job because he hates the Jets. But the whole reason he hated the Jets is the ownership issues. And right now he has ownership issues with the Patriots. And what better way to stick it to the Patriots if he wants to continue to be spiteful and have that revenge in him and go on a revenge tour? What better thing to do to the Patriots than coach the Jets and win with the Jets? I think it's a question worth asking. So I get where Rich Eisen is coming from, and most people are coming from that angle. But as someone who has seen everything put out there about Bill Belichick and watched every game he's coached the last 20 years, I can tell you, man, there's no better way to get back at someone who you think has wronged you, in this case the Patriots, than going to their biggest rival and coaching them to success, which in this case would be the Jets. It would be cruel, but what Belichick did to the Jets for 20 years was cruel. I don't think it's as crazy as you think. I really don't. Would Belichick probably prefer to work someplace else? Yes, because at the end of the day, he still does not. Woody Johnson is still the owner. We talked about this with Pete yesterday. Belichick really liked the Hess family. Does not like Woody Johnson. So that is still kind of the overarching ghost in the room, is that he doesn't like Woody Johnson. I don't know that he'd be able to work with Jerry Jones. I know that was a talking point with the Cowboys thing. So I think there are other places he would want to coach, but this is a guy who is a coach. He is hell-bent on coaching. And if that's his only offer, I think if Woody Johnson was smart, he could really talk Belichick into this and saying, like, man, crazy what the Crafts did to you, what the Patriots did to you after all that you had done for them. Here's a good way to get back at them and show that you can coach, and that you can coach without Brady, and that you can coach outside of New England. Here's your opportunity. I think Belichick would really consider that. New England has the Texans this week. Your Texans, Zach. Drake May getting the first start. And we talked about this the other day when he was named the starter. I'll just say, don't expect him to light the world on fire week one. Please don't. I will get worked up when the Patriots lose this game, because I always get worked up when the Patriots lose. And I'll have some sort of rant on Monday about how bad they suck. But let's keep it at base level here. We don't expect them to win. The Texans are a much better team than the Patriots. And the way they're constructed, they are designed to attack the flaws in the Patriots team, of which there are many. And people are going to be very excited to see Drake May out there and think, oh, this is the future. This kid's going to lead us to the promised land. 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. That's probably not going to happen. As bad as Jacoby Brissett sucked, Drake May has come in with 0 NFL experience behind this offensive line and throwing to these pass catchers and getting play calls from this offensive coordinator. It is not going to be a work of art this week. In fact, if Drake May is looking pretty good and dependable, I'm talking like 250 yards, a couple of touchdowns, no picks in like 3 or 4 weeks, that's good for Patriots fans. That's progress. That's hope. I just don't think it's going to happen this week. Now, what I am interested in is how many of these plays he can extend that Jacoby Brissett couldn't. Try as he might, as I've talked about, he did try very hard and was somewhat successful at limiting damage. But you saw the ceiling of this team. It's 13 points a game, which is like almost 10 points less than the Matt Patricia, Joe Judge offense of 2 years ago. But with the way that teams can rush the passer against them, I'm wondering how much Drake May can make something out of nothing. He's not Lamar Jackson in that sense, but the kid can get out of the pocket, and he's shifty, and he's a heck of an athlete. It's going to be about that athleticism plus decision making that will determine how successful Drake May is pretty quickly here. Because even in college, even in the ACC, he tried some throws, tried some plays that should have got a lesser quarterback benched, right? He was an interesting decision maker. And by that, I mean, not a great decision maker, but man, he can chuck it. And it's not like he's diabolically bad at decision making. I don't want it to sound like that, but he took some risks that you couldn't even take in the ACC, let alone in the NFL. So Mac Jones, the first couple weeks we saw of him, might have been a little underwhelming, but in terms of the numbers, but I think everyone was oozing with, oh my God, look at this kid's decision making. You know, for every time he throws it into the ground, at least he's not taking a sack or throwing a pick. I don't know if it'll be that same way with Drake May, but it wasn't that same way with Josh Allen. It wasn't that same way with some other star quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson is another one that we talked about earlier, that were not elite decision makers right away and kind of had to figure that out, roll with the punches. Peyton Manning was absolutely that. If you want to go back that far, I think he led the league in picks his first year. He had to learn that part of it with a bad team. And that's what Drake May is going to have to do. He's going to have to learn it through this experience with a bad team, but all you can hope for is progress. I know it's stupid coach speak, and I got on this coaching staff, Gerard Mayo specifically, at the beginning of this year for saying, hey, we just hope to look better every week. I do these canned high school football coach interviews every week, and you hear it all the time. We just hope to get better, a little bit better every week, a little bit better every day. Don't want to beat ourselves, yada, yada, yada. All this coach speak bullshit. But in the case of Drake May, that is very true. And we said it with Mac Jones too. You just want to see some glimpses every week, kid getting better, making better decisions every week. And that's all you can hope for right now. So I think he's obviously got better arm talent than Jacoby Brissett. I think he's going to take more shots down the field. Whether his receivers can get separation, let's see. But if you get, I don't know, 180 to 200 yards, a touchdown or two, no picks, no hospital balls, I think you'd feel in a really good spot for game number one with a quarterback prospect this raw. Speaking of raw, Pedro Martinez was raw, man. And we have got a special kind of throwback. We're going to take a look at two distinct Pedro Martinez memories, my favorite Red Sox of all time. That's coming up next on The Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network. and we're just recanting the 2006 New York Mets, which can only mean we're about to talk about Pedro.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of like a mini guys naming dudes during
A
the
little bit,
middle of
yeah.
the break. Yeah.
especially for me, I kind of had a thing for the Mets back in those days, as in like a soft spot, not like I rooted for him, but I think I had like one of those black Mets hats.
The
And so-
black jerseys have
I
always been
I
nice.
love those. I know there's some traditionalist people, specifically Mets fans, that don't love them. I love the Mets black, blue, and orange. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
blue and orange goes really well.
No, it does.
I can't find a team that doesn't do that well.
One thing I just wanted to add before you get into Pedro.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm gonna talk a little.
Sean Green was on that team too. Old Sean Green, but still Sean Green was on that.
You
06.
look at that. That's a pretty good blend of a team, man. They probably didn't have quite enough starting pitching at that point. Pedro was on the back nine, obviously, and Tom Glavine was on the back nine. But like they had a good, that's a good solid team. That's an LCS team, which is exactly what they were. And they were probably a better team on paper than that Cardinals team, outside of a Pujols. But Pujols or the Cardinals, that team was just wild. They just had it.
Do you
going.
think that team is better than the current Mets team?
It's very similar, I would say.
Okay.
Maybe.
I was just thinking. I mean, this is another NLCS
But
team.
we see Pete Alonso, and his numbers might be a little better. But you talk about Carlos Delgado in the early to mid aughts, like he was one of the best sluggers in the league.
Yeah.
like that's kind of gets forgotten. He would have been a great guy's name.
But like
dudes.
Lindor replaces Reyes.
Yep, more pop than Reyes.
Yeah.
for sure. And so yeah, yes, Pete Alonso, similar to Delgado. Lindor, absolutely a better player than Reyes. I mean, that was a good young player in Reyes, but Lindor is like an MVP candidate. Pitching is largely kind of the same. They both got good. They're getting good work out of their like 2 and 3 guys. Like Sean Manaea was great the other night.
But I mean, the top of the rotation, it's what, Jose Quintana and Severino.
Yeah.
So it's not really like anybody.
It's not
that's
great.
doing,
Yeah, it's nothing to write home about. You wouldn't say that and say that's a World Series team.
Yeah, no.
All they had to do to shore up their pitching rotation was get rid of DeGrom and Scherzer, and they were just on their way. And unbelievable. This Mets team is a ton of fun. I wasn't around in '86, so I really don't have anything against the Mets. I don't like New York, obviously.
Yeah.
But the Mets fandom is probably what gives me the soft spot. It's like they also hate the Yankees. They hate the Yankees for like the same reasons we do. And I don't think they hate the Red Sox. They're oft tortured fan base.
Yeah.
And they're really freaking loyal. They're maniacs. Do you know what they are? You know what actually they are? They're all the best things about Philadelphia fans without the complete debauchery. Like, can they be douchebags? And yes, but they're not criminals. Like Eagles fans are fucking criminals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have all the good, passionate parts. Like they're crazy. They watch Mets games the same way I watch Bruins games or a Red Sox playoff game if they ever get back to it. You know what I mean? I see like the Barstool, the electric room or whatever they call it with all the Mets fans, and they're maniacs. They're fucking maniacs. And I'm okay with that. I'm very much okay with that. And the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
No, I get that. I think one of my favorite moments that
I love Pedro.
I got to see. I'm getting to that. It's an old tie-in.
And that's kind of how I started with the 06 is because Pedro was on.
But one of the best moments I saw of the season is when during the series of the Mets and Red Sox. I don't know if they might be playing in Boston. Maybe it might have been New York. But that both fan bases were able to join along in a Yankee sucks chant in the middle of the game. You know, it's like, it doesn't matter what's going on here. We can both agree that we hate the damn Yankees.
We're going to hear a glimpse of an all-time Yankee suck chant later. Maybe not the loudest you've ever heard it, but perfect timing of it. But we started with Pedro Martinez, my favorite Red Sox of all time. I should have worn my jersey today. I don't know why I didn't. I knew I was going to do this. But it's not like you see 45 on the back. Love Pedro, man. I just missed his peak. Bill actually talked about this the other day. My first Red Sox game ever was a Pedro start. And he was right. I do remember it. It was an electric factory in there. And I naively thought this is how all baseball games should be in June against the Texas Rangers. But he was obviously like, I think has the best peak of any pitcher of all time when you look at the numbers and you look at the era that he played in. And one of the prime examples is a game that happened 25 years ago today. We had the All-Star game back in July. We did that 25th anniversary, Pedro's golden hour at Fenway Park with the beautiful All-Star game performance, but it wasn't even his best pitching performance of that year, because in 1999 ALDS, they take on Cleveland. They fall down 2-0, and game 5, they force it to a game 5, is absolutely wacky. It's at the Jake in Cleveland. Brett Saberhagen actually gets the start for the Red Sox. And it's this wild game. It's 8-8 in like the third inning. It's absolutely nuts. Troy O'Leary hits a grand slam to go up 12-8. And in the fourth inning, the Red Sox are burnt out. This is game 5. They start warming up Pedro, who was injured earlier in the series, battled some arm issues at the end of the year, which unfortunately became commonplace for him in that time. And all of a sudden they bring him in. This is before teams were doing this. It's starting to become more commonplace now in the postseason. But in game 5, they go to Pedro, and he pulls off one of the great performances in the history of postseason baseball. Let's show you the final out of that one.
2-0. The Boston Red Sox have come storming back, and they are in the American League Championship Series. No hits allowed by Pedro Martinez from the 4th inning on.
Jimmy Williams allowing the players to celebrate. First manager that I saw do that was Tom Kelly with the 1987 world champion Minnesota Twins. Red Sox and their fans hoping that this year they could change the curse into the purse.
A remarkable come from behind victory in this series for Jimmy Williams and the Boston Red Sox.
A scrappier crew you will never find on a big league baseball diamond.
If the Red Sox went to the World Series or won the World Series that year, that would be considered maybe the best postseason pitching performance ever. Tim McCarver. What a roller coaster for him in that clip, by the way, Tim McCarver, because he does that stupid line in the middle of a celebration. Oh, the manager's letting him celebrate. I saw that back in 1987. Stupid. And then he says, a scrappier bunch you will not find. The 99 Red Sox, to me, are fascinating. I was 2 years old, so I didn't watch them. But you look at the team they had. They rolled out a lineup like this in the ALCS against the 99 Yankees, okay? Late 90s Yankees, one of the great teams of all time. Jose Offerman, John Valentin, Brian Daubach hitting third. I'm looking at the game 5 of the ALDS, and Brian Daubach DHing and hitting third for an ALCS team. And you know who came in for him as a pinch runner in that game? Valley Mills, Texas native, and Texas Ranger great, Donnie Sadler. Nomar batting cleanup, by far the best player in the lineup. Troy O'Leary, Mike Stanley, Jason Varitek, Darren Lewis, and Trot Nixon. That team was within 3 wins of the World Series and knocked out this Indians team, which we need to get to. This was the American League team of the 90s until the Yankees took over in 96. But they were a murderer's row in that lineup. And here is what they rolled out against the Red Sox in that game 5. That Pedro Martinez no hit for 6 innings in relief in an elimination game in their home ballpark. By the way, you'll notice this is not as good as the 97 World Series lineup. It's starting to be on the downtrodden, but this is still it. Kenny Lofton, Omar Vizquel, Roberto Alomar, Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome, Harold Baines, Will Cordero, Travis Fryman, and Sandy Alomar.
That first 5 is still
that's almost as impressive as what he faced in the 99 All-Star game. Like that's incredible. I mean, Kenny Lofton.
I'm looking up the All-Star game lineup real quick.
Oh man, it's pretty good. I could do it for you, but I don't want to. I don't want to waste your good work here. A couple of Hall of Famers, guys who should be in the Hall of Fame too. Kenny Lofton, great long-time career. Omar Vizquel, good enough hitter, right? I mean, obviously more known for his defense. Alomar, one of the best offensive second basemen ever. Manny, we all know what he could do. 500 homers. Jim Thome, 600 homers. Harold Baines, it's unbelievable up and down the list. 99, give me the first 5.
Well, it doesn't have
First
it listed
6.
it just has it by position for some reason. But we have Piazza, McGuire, Larkin,
Mhm.
Gwynn, Sosa, Walker, and Bagwell. The only two kind of, Matt Williams was solid, but Jay
Yep.
Bell at
Matt
second.
Williams was great.
All
at that point.
solid.
Yeah.
But
This Indians lineup, and he no-hit him in an elimination game.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Pedro's 99 season, real quick. At 99 and 2000, I think, are 2 of the best pitch seasons of all time. Okay. Wins the Cy Young at 23-4. Comes second in the MVP voting, by the way, that year. 23-4. 2.07 ERA. In the American League East at Fenway Park in the height of the steroid era. 2.07. The next year was 1.74. My God. Okay. 5 complete games in that year, 1 complete game shutout, 313 strikeouts. ERA plus, we went over that with Louis Tiant. 100 is average. Anything above that is that percentage better. 100 is the league average pitcher. His ERA plus was 243. 243. The next year in 2000, it was 291. He is almost 3 times as good as the league average pitcher. That's insane. His FIP, fielding independent pitching. So it's your ERA taking out how bad your defense is. 139. 139. Led the league in that, in ERA plus, in strikeouts, in whip, in hits per 9, in homers per 9, 0.4 for a whole season. And strikeouts per 9, 13.2. 8.46 strikeout to walks. He led the league in all of those, plus obviously ERA, win-loss percentage, and wins. 2000, it's more of the same. He only wins 18 games. How can he be that great? The 1.74 ERA, the 4 complete game shutouts, 284 strikeouts. He led the league in all of those, then led the league in ERA plus, and in FIP at 2.17, whip at 0.737. That's incredible. His hits per 9 went down by a hit and a half. Strikeout per 9. Oh, he took it down a peg, but still led the league at 11.8 and had a better strikeout to walk. He is the best peak of any pitcher ever, especially when you put the context into it. 2003, maybe a little bit past his peak, but still pretty damn good. Also on this day, in 2003, another anniversary for Pedro during that hotly contested 2003 ALCS.
Out, and this is over the head. Actually, must have hit the bat of Kareem Garcia, and a foul ball, and Garcia immediately pops up and screams at Martinez.
Yeah, that was perilously close to his head. Martinez hitting Soriano and Derek Jeter. The last time the Yankees and Red Sox played in a 2-1 game, won by the Yankees back in August. Now, Joe Torre.
Well, they warned both benches.
I guess it must have nicked the helmet. I thought it hit his bat, too.
I thought it hit him in the back.
Really?
It was behind his head.
Well, Martinez now pointing. That's the wrong thing to do. That's inciting right there. Trying to get himself under control.
Now Ramirez.
That ball's not even close.
You talk about looking for a reason.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. Don Zimmer and Pedro Martinez. Oh.
That's awful.
Don Zimmer, a 72-year-old man, went into Pedro Martinez's face, and Pedro Martinez threw him down.
You hear the Yankees suck chant there at the end. Hell yeah, man. That's so rock and roll. So I'll summarize this real quick because we got to get out of this segment. But there's a snack shack a few floors down from us, and the barcode thing doesn't always work. And when it doesn't work, I like try cash. If I don't have cash, I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? And so what do I always say about it, Zach? I say they brought it upon themselves. Don Zimmer brought it upon himself. And still, you will find Yankee fans to this day that are like, that some of them have a brain in their head, some of them, but they're like, oh, dude, how can you do that? The guy's 72 years old. What are you talking about? You saw that clip, Zach? Don Zimmer.
Yeah, I did.
Don Zimmer goes from across the field and charges at Pedro. Charges at him. Like, what is Pedro supposed to do there? In fact, he probably does the easiest thing, the lightest thing he could do.
He just
Kind of gets him by his shoulder and hat and olays him down. Doesn't even really throw him. I mean, that guy knows how to throw. That wasn't really a throw.
Yeah, it
I
looks
mean,
like
he could have
uses
bear
his
hugged him, but
momentum.
who knows? Like, I mean, Zim might be trying to punch him. Like, I know it sounds crazy for a 72-year-old, but you see the clip. Like, he's charging at him like a bull. My God, that's when that rivalry meant something, man. They fucking hated each other. That's when that meant some shit. This should be the Pedro Martinez Day, October 11th. 2 awesome anniversaries for Pedro. And by the way, Tim McCarver was correct in that one. That pitch was not close to Manny. Like, Manny was clearly hot-headed, and Roger Clemens is on the mound in this time and place. And with that guy on the mound, there's every reason to believe a pitch is going to be thrown at you. And so I think Manny had that in his head going to the plate. And then that one, it's high, but it's really not close at all. And it sparks that, one of the great moments of the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry. But yes, Don Zimmer charged at him. I don't know what else you want Pedro to do. God, I love you, Pedro. Can we get you on the show? Pedro Martinez, please come on the show. God, I would be gushing, absolutely gushing if we had Pedro on the show. We do have Pete Souza on the show, and we're talking Aaron Hernandez. That's coming up next on the Cam Show to take you into the weekend.
the guy from Full House, Danny Tanner, what's his name? The comedian, Bob Saget's wife. You know, he died on her. She's with Breckin Meyer, and she was on the red carpet, and they were like, "So we're hearing you might be in love," and she's like, "Maybe." And everybody was like, "Oh my God, poor Saget rolling
like
over
right
his
after he
grave."
died.
Huh? Yeah,
Like
it
right
was
after
like
he died?
not that long. Yeah.
We're gonna keep that in. It's Pete Souza joining the Cam Show.
What up?
Final segment of the week, baby.
What up, Cam?
Let's talk Aaron Hernandez.
I'm here.
I watched that Hernandez episode. I'm caught up. I can't fucking look away, Pete. It's so bad. But let's start here. We talked a little bit about the Belichick thing, right? We talked about that Belichick scene. Gronk. Gotta respect it.
I like the guy.
The guy's really trying. The imitation is actually pretty close to there.
But he's so
it's
far
pretty
from
much
looking
there.
anything like
Yeah,
him.
that's the problem. He doesn't look like him at all.
No.
And they've had to do some tricks to make Hernandez, his actor, look like he belongs on an NFL football field. Like, I took down some questions. I watched it last night. I was under the influence, so I had to
I'm
write
happy.
down
I'm
questions.
pumped.
I was texting Pete at like 10 o'clock, and I
was
kind of
awake.
spammed you enough, but I didn't want to send like 10 messages in a row about every thought I had on this.
Yeah, this is a much better idea.
Oh, thank you. So for future reference, I'll just never text you again. I'll never text you again about this. So this is my most confusing part of this. He meets up with the guy. So that's the guy he used to hook up with in high school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then so much of this doesn't make sense.
Why?
Because at this point, Hernandez is either 21 or 22, right? He's arrested at age 23, I think.
Okay.
So he's 21 or 22. And he's meeting up with this guy after a game. And the guy was apparently in the Marine Corps coming out of high school.
Yeah.
But he's
No longer
in it.
No.
3 years later, he's not in it.
Yeah.
And has apparently been out for some time.
Mm-hmm.
And he is dressed like the most, do we use the term metrosexual anymore?
No, but
he's
that's a good way.
absolutely dressed like that. Like he's a good looking guy. Like he's got a good haircut and he's wearing a scarf and a trench coat and everything. He's got a girl and
moving to Baltimore, right?
I thought it was Seattle.
Seattle.
Yeah, I think he's moving across the country, which for sure, like almost certainly did not actually happen, because that will absolutely come back later when Aaron Hernandez wants to trade to the West Coast and he wants to go to Seattle. And the real story in real life is that apparently he did do that because he wanted to get away from his Bridgeport people and his crazy ass fucking family. But now with this guy running the show,
no way.
It's going to be he wants to go out there because there's a gay guy out there that he used to hook up with. Pete, am I wrong? That's absolutely going to be. They just dropped that seed for you for that reason. Am I wrong? Is that not what it's going to become?
That's pretty good. That's pretty. I didn't even think of that. That's really good.
He's going to be like talking to Cheyenne. He's going to be like, maybe, I don't know, somewhere on the West Coast, Seattle.
He did specifically
that's
ask
gonna
for
be
Seattle. Maybe,
Yeah.
Does this guy know? Do these guys know something we don't?
There was probably some like agent telling him like, hey, there would probably be some interest from Seattle. They're looking for a tight end. That's going to be the thing to get him over the top. Like that's probably what it was in real life. And he's like, that's a perfect change of scenery. And that's what this is going to become in the show. So that's part of it. I don't get how he's just suddenly out of the military. He's been out for a while, apparently. And at age 21, he's good. The other thing is he asks about Cheyenne, his Aaron's girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, so what's she like? I'm like, you guys went to high school together. You all went to high school together.
Oh, wow. That's,
Like,
that's very good.
Right? I was like, I couldn't, I had to pause the show. I was like, this is the guy, right? This is the guy. They went to high school together. Bristol's a city, but you know the people you went to high school with. You ran in the same circles. Like,
especially that girl.
Like, right? What
I
the
wouldn't
fuck?
forget her.
Where?
She was cute.
She's a good-looking girl in the show.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what is this, man? Like, how stupid do you think your audience is?
Well, apparently
We all know that they
dumb
went to
enough to
high
be
school
me.
together, and he just doesn't know a thing about her. He's like, what's her name again? Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Well, that's a liberty you take to ultimately show once again that Aaron has no interest in women or very
That's
or
exactly
very
what they're going
small.
for again.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like we saw 2 episodes. We saw them making out 2 episodes ago. We get it. We know that they're like. You don't need to add like the really.
What
this
about
girl
what
thing?
about that? If Aaron even gets word that this guy is within a 100-mile radius, you have to hose him off, right? I mean, really, he's so excited.
Yes.
He can't get up
yes.
fast enough to go see this buddy of his.
Yo, he's like, yo,
Even
you
if
were
they don't-
you're watching my games. Like, yeah, bro, we were best friends in high school and you're playing in the NFL. Like, yes, I'm watching your games. What the, like, it's so bizarre. Like, you know, like take being a sport, like we're diehard sports fans and we
Yeah.
understand
This
kind
is
of the
rock
game,
hard, can't
but
see
take that out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you, I don't know, if I was playing in the NFL today, there would be people I went to high school with who don't give a shit about football would watch. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
So that I was so taken aback by that I was like, this is just not good show running, directing, writing at all. Like none of that is good. Like I literally took down. How does he not know Aaron's girl? They literally all went to high school together. And another thing is they're again trying to make out the Patriots to be kind of maybe not the villain in this, but kind of a villain in this.
Explain.
And they're pushing down Aaron's personality all the time. And Aaron's like, I gotta be me, dude. And I took this note because they have a couple of scenes where Belichick is like telling him to like be a man, or like Brady's telling him, hey, we don't do stuff like that around here. And I took this note. Does Hernandez need to simply just grow the fuck up?
Yes.
Like I think that's part of it. Like that, there are
Yeah.
plenty of young guys, immature guys who come into the league. It's not a problem with the NFL. You're making millions of dollars. You need to grow the fuck up.
Uh-huh.
And that's not the reason he killed people, because they were telling him he needed to grow up. Okay. So I thought that was like, all right, dude. Like we're trying to make out the Patriots and Belichick to be the bad guy. And it's like, no, we all face this at some point in life.
Yes.
And in Aaron's case, young, yes, he was 20 when he was drafted. But the trade-off of that, you're going to get a couple $1 million to play football.
Yeah.
So, and I love how he's like, you know, I'm on a rookie contract. People think I'm rolling it and I'm not. I'm like, well, compared to most people in your life, you're making almost $1 million as a rookie. Like that's a pretty good living that you're making.
What'd you think about Sherrod? I love Sherrod.
What a
dude.
character.
That guy's a good actor. Once in a while, there's like, oh, I'm like, okay, like here's a good actor, because everyone else is so bad.
He's probably the most believable character so far. Well, Hernandez's mom.
No, dude, his dad. Dennis is the best.
And here's the last.
I need more like
not the last note, but does he get it? So obviously we found out later after his suicide that Aaron Hernandez had CTE or some strand of it. He was,
I think it was pretty bad, apparently, according to the doctors at BU.
So they obviously try to make a point of that in the show. But does he get a concussion on every hit he takes? Like every time we've seen him get hit in this show, he's like, and he's fucking get a concussion every time.
Guys are patting him on the head. He's like,
every hit he's taken, he gets a concussion. All right, because
they are literally hitting us over the head with the concussions, the gay stuff. The Patriots suck.
Like, and there's just glimpses of his life in Bristol and his family, and I'm like, we really should probably be paying more attention to this if we're looking for reasons why.
I thought the party scene was great. I mean, it's all like you can't really break it down, but like that outside party after Aaron's game, where like like his mom's new husband, and is that true? I mean, I don't know. Is that true that his aunt's husband became his mom's boyfriend?
I think that is right. Wow. I was gonna say, like that scene in particular,
that's some drama.
Who's gonna kind of push back on that? Like that kind of scene absolutely could happen.
Yeah, but it was a good scene too. And by the way, it reminds you that the only calming influence in his life is that woman, Cheyenne.
Yes.
It's like, so he's got, and we don't know, and it seems like she was pretty much like Steady Eddie for him, as much as you can get Steady Eddie for that.
And like they try to make her out to be like this brainiac, but she seemed like she had a good head on her shoulders from a tough upbringing.
Very likable.
I mean, she now has kind of gone off the deep end defending Aaron, but I mean, like
she still defend him, saying he didn't do it.
Yeah, she thinks he's like innocent. Yeah, it's wild. Last scene, which goes back to the concussions a little bit, I think. Did he forget how to drive?
Yes.
What was that?
I think he totally was blanking out. I think that was. I honestly, I didn't have. Okay,
I don't know, it's
again,
a weird scene.
Again,
he's at a stoplight. It goes from red to green, back to red. He's like flipping up the blinkers. He has no idea.
It takes too long. The scene is like, again, they're really working to make the point.
Yeah.
Like honestly, the other night we were in Austin and we valeted the car.
Yeah.
Right. And like, nowadays you don't know other people's cell phone numbers, but you know your own. This woman was like, what are the last 4 digits of your cell number? I was like, it took me like 20 seconds, which was like
too many hits,
which was crazy, but I got it. I got it eventually, but it seemed like forever. like, and maybe it was 15 seconds, 20 seconds. That was like, they literally had him sit at the stoplight for like 3
Very
minutes.
odd.
It was
Very
real
odd.
time, like 3 minutes. He didn't know where he was going.
And like they try to make it out at one point. That
And
he's
why is
about
he
to
in a
put
Jeep Cherokee?
I don't know. There's one scene where they clearly try to make it out that he's about to put a hit out on Bill Belichick. You remember? Like he's late from a photo shoot to practice, and Belichick's pissed
I
at him.
don't know that they
And Aaron gets pissed. He throws down his helmet. He's like, he's doing one of those faces, like these guys won't let me be myself. And he calls Sherrod, and he's like, "Yo, you around?" Or he
I think
texts
he
him,
just
"You
needs.
around?"
I think no, Cam, you're going off the deep end. I think that they were just
Like
showing.
he obviously doesn't do it,
I
but they're
think they
clearly
were
like,
just
"Oh my
showing
god,
that
is he going to do that?"
he's moved now. He's like drugs are becoming a bigger part of his life because he has to meet Sherrod.
Yeah,
has to
weed,
get weed.
baby. He's gonna weed himself right into being a murderer.
Hey, look, I mean,
Like that's what all these things are. That's what you have to question about all these things, these subplots that are thrown out there. Like, is this what they're gonna say made him kill people?
so I had, by the way, I had dinner with my buddy Taina last night, who I used to work with
Hey,
at KWTX. Her husband, Chris, was there, but he had to go. And it was a bunch of us having dinner, but Chris is awesome. And she mentioned Chris and she said, we had to turn off Monsters, another Ryan Murphy
Yeah,
production, because
Menendez ones.
it was too much. It was like,
Dude, I'm telling
dudes
you,
are in the shower
turned it
together,
off.
and he was just like, "Look, if it's going to be like this the whole time." Oh no, here's what Chris said, according to
It might be
Taina.
the same place that I turned it off.
Yeah, he was like, "If this is so early in this deal, we got so many episodes left. Like, is this going to be the whole thing? Like, I don't
Yeah.
like."
They do like a 20-minute scene, and I get it's a kind of a powerful scene, but it's literally like 15 or 20 minutes, where it's Eric like describing how he was molested.
Dude, it's
and,
a whole
like, the taste
episode
of the cum,
It's
and I'm like,
yo,
this,
bro.
I'm like, I cannot.
It's
This is
a
not
30.
Cool. Like,
It's a 35-minute episode. I fast forwarded through it. I was like,
it's so like,
yeah.
And with me, with that, it's like, again, it's kind of almost insulting your audience intelligence. It's like we take it seriously when they say they were molested, and that the dad molested Lyle, and then did it to Eric, and then Lyle did it to Eric, and it was still going on. Like we understand by that description there that that's a really awful, indescribable thing. We don't need an entire episode of like play by play.
Yeah.
Like it was so unsettling.
And we reserve
That was kind of the same thing as Chris. It's like, is this going to be it?
we reserve the right to just fast forward through it.
Yes,
Which is
of
what I
course,
did.
of
Hold on,
course.
which is what I did. But when you invest that much in something, you kind of, at that point, you're kind of trusting the direction of
Mhm.
the whole production. And I sort of felt like, come on, really? Like, whatever. So I fast forwarded through it. I couldn't believe it. I started to laugh, Cam. I was fast forwarding and I saw he was still in the blue jumpsuit. If you notice everything about that, the way it's directed, it's all you see is the back of the attorney's head, right? All you see is Eric.
By
It's-
the way,
it's-
I've
it's
been
for
waiting for you to get to that
35
episode to
minutes.
say something about this. By the way,
What?
the attorney, the
Leslie
gotcha
Abramson.
female attorney, yeah.
I love her.
So I had seen her, and I was like,
She's from The Sopranos. She's in Meadows.
I was like, this
fucking-
this actress looks familiar,
Yeah.
and I don't know that that's what I remember her from, but I'm like, The Sopranos. Like, who is
Yes.
she in it's like 3 episodes. I'm like, she's a character in Sopranos. Who is she? It's fucking Meadows' tapped roommate from Colombia, like the mentally ill roommate from Colombia. I'm like, that's wild.
It's
that's
pretty
who
awesome.
This is 20 years later.
Yeah.
She's Leslie Abramson,
And she's been in a bunch of stuff. She's a
and I
good actor.
actually love Shapiro in that. Shapiro, however
Yeah.
you say it. In the Menendez thing, he's like, you guys got to find a different story.
Oh yeah.
And like he's talking to the family, he's like, these kids are guilty based off what they're telling me, right? Like this is not going to hold
And
up. for
that holds
anything.
up.
And he literally tells him, he's like, if you're going to bring this to court, you got to find a new story. And he's right. He's
And
absolutely
that
right.
holds up because Shapiro apparently was always like he made deals. He was
Mhm.
not like a
Yes,
trial
he was
dog.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Pete Souza show, 1:00 today. You're on the road this weekend.
Yeah. Going to Wyoming. Yeah.
Is it weird to say I'm jealous of you? I'm really jealous.
No, not really.
I'd love to go to Wyoming. I'd love to have a break. First off, I mean, not that you're
I'm not a break. I'm gonna be working.
You're doing work. I know.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, for me, I would love to go with you, tag along, just have a fucking break. Leave Grace here in Waco as she comes to visit me. I'll just go to Laramie.
Are you going to bring Are you going to bring Grace up here?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But since you're on the road, I can leave early.
Yeah.
Today, Friday. So I might do that and hang out with Grace a little bit before
Yeah,
the high
okay.
school football game.
All right.
And then I got a crew of 2 people in my high school football game. One of them.
Will Grace go to the game with you?
Me. No.
Okay.
She'll hang out with her friends. She used to think that I did the play-by-play for China Spring over the loudspeaker at the football games. And I was, because she never went to a game, and I was like, that would be the most obnoxious thing ever. Like ever.
Dude, it's funny how little like the general public knows about what we do in that respect. Like people, oh, so your public address? I'm like, no. And it's like, fine, because I get it. Why would they know? But yeah, that's always funny.
Pete, thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
I can't wait till you come back and we can talk more. That's Pete Souza. This has been the Cam Show, sending you into the weekend. We'll have, I guess we'll have to talk about the Patriots. We'll have to talk about Drake May some more on Monday, high noon Eastern time, here on the Cam Show on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you then.